You look great though. You look like you can still go.
I could. God dang it. And, just saying that takes me back to when we did that WrestleMania match with Kevin Owens in Dallas, Texas, and they didn't send a ring down for me to work out and to, get any kind of timing or hit the ropes. I remember going down there and I was running the ropes and, taking a couple flat back bumps before we got into the ring, but you can't get your timing or any kind of anything back, or much less your wind. And I was over here in my gym doing all kinds of cardio because, when that glass breaks or whoever's music hits and you start walking to the ring, man, just the buzz of the crowd. I've seen people blow up walking to the ring because that's just what a crowd can do to you. And so just going there and with Kevin Owens and trying to have that match with him where we didn't bill it as a match, but it was going to be a match, so to speak. And I remember telling Kevin, and I was knocking the shit out of him. I was potatoing him so bad because I ain't thrown a punch in 19 years.
Yeah.
And he never threw a receipt. And I told him, because we keep in touch with each other every now and then. And I just wish that he could have been in the ring with me when I was really going, full speed and had my timing, because he's a great worker. And I really like him a lot. I wish he would have got a chance to experience me when I was in my prime, because that would have been a great contest. But I could still do it. And I'm not advocating for nothing. So I'm not selling a match here, Chris. But you asked me, could I? Yes.
Would you?
Probably not. I'll say that, but you say never say never.
Sure.
With the knee replacement I had last year, God dang, I was limping around so bad, and I didn't even know I was limping. And people would ask me, man, what's wrong? I said, what are you talking about? You're limping. Fuck, I didn't know, because I don't watch myself walk. And then finally, after everybody kept pointing it out to me, I started, it was really, I could feel it, no doubt. That's why I was limping. And then it just started getting really bad because of all the arthritis in there. And finally, last year, I had it replaced. And, I was thinking, why didn't I do this sooner? To get out of so much pain. And I've always wondered what arthritis felt like. Man, I found out firsthand that it's chronically over time, years and years and years of it. It'll change your personality. It just puts you in a state of mind where you just want some relief. So to get that relief and come out on the other side and still be active. I don't really squat anymore. I do, like Hindu squats, free squats, like guys would do in their hotel room. And I always had good legs. So I'll do that to maintain them. But anyway, still trying to keep in shape. You got to keep in shape because, first of all, it is who I am. I started working out when I was in 5th grade. And we were underneath the stadium in Edna, Texas, where I grew up. And my brother was 2 years older than me. And in junior high, that's when you start football in Texas. The 7th and 8th graders were in there training. And I was over leaning against the wall because I was in 5th grade. I was too young. And there was a coach. His name was Coach Harper. He goes, hey, who's that kid over there? My brother Scott said, that's my brother Steve. Well, why is he here? Well, he's too young to play football. He looked at me. Instead of kicking me out of the stadium, he goes, you want to lift weights? I said, yes, sir. So I started training at 5th grade because Coach Harper let me in rather than kicking me out. So, I've worked out my whole life, and I'll continue to work out until I'm not alive, because you got to. And when you feel like, first of all, it's who I am. Then as you were Stone Cold Steve Austin, you just don't want to turn into a tub of shit because, that people remember you of how you were.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. You just got to. And I was talking with Undertaker a few WrestleManias ago, and we were by the ring, and we were like, God dang, man, it seems like it just passed by so fast. Like, goddamn, yesterday we was in the ring. And here we are now, the grizzled veterans. And we were talking about workouts and stuff like that. And Taker said this, he goes, motion is lotion. And I remember that. So I always stay active.
Why was WrestleMania 38 the right time to have another match? And why was Kevin Owens the right opponent?
It was in Dallas, Texas. Vince flew down here and we had a conversation, and I thought about it for a minute. And I love Kevin Owens. And he's just, I think from a safety standpoint, they picked Kevin, and when they threw out just a couple of names, Kevin was the guy.
Is it because he was also doing the stunner? Like there's a bit of a tie
No,
in
no, it
there.
wasn't anything to the stunner. They just handpicked Kevin because they know how good he is, and he cuts a good promo. I remember meeting Kevin 100 years ago in the airport. Him and Sami Zayn. It's a well-known story, but anyway, I gave him some advice about learning how to promo and talk instead of taking all those bumps. And he's turned to end up. Kevin Owens will end up in the Hall of Fame. So I mean, why not pick Kevin Owens for Stone Cold Steve Austin's opponent?
How did it feel being back in the ring?
Well, it was interesting because there was different people that were, making comments about that. Triple H says you never know what you got until you get in there. So you don't. And he was right. Hulk Hogan, God rest his soul, says, you're not calloused up because you haven't been on the road. You haven't been taking bumps in the ring. He was right. Undertaker says there's no way that you can have timing because you haven't been in the ring, over and over every single night. And he was right. So, on that night walking to the ring, I remember I couldn't hear the crowd like I wanted to just because of the acoustics of that building. And man, I'm just real in tune with, how the crowd responds to anything, particularly, as anybody would, your entrance. We blew the roof off the place. So anyway, we go into the match and it was fine. I blew up because I hadn't had any reps in the ring. But when I look back at that, I rushed through so many things. I wish I would have slowed down more and savored it a little bit more and just entertained the crowd a little bit more. And it was what it was. We got away with it because it was anticipated. It was billed as my last match because Dallas is where I started and Dallas is where I would finish. So for all the right reasons, it was there to have that match, and we pulled it off. But God dang, I could have been better prepared, and I would have loved to have been better, that night for Kevin Owens.